Okay, so there's a very good chance that things are going to get icy this afternoon. Very timely to have Nainesh Kotak from Kotak Law walk us through, very carefully, the legal side of slip and falls. Because if you fall, time is of the essence.
Absolutely, Annette. Thanks for having me again. So, slip and falls can occur for various reasons. Often in the winter, it is snow and ice, but there could be, you could be in a mall or a store and there could be spillage, right? So, important thing is to get money, to prove liability, you first have to show there's what's called a duty of care on the occupier, which is usually the owner of the property. Once you've done that, and that's not too difficult, you've got to prove negligence and that the negligence led to your injury, and then you've got to value the damages for that injury. So there are certainly notice periods here. One in particular to remember, it's more of a recent one that came in a few years ago. That is a 60-day notice period to put one of the parties who is responsible on notice. And that's not the municipality, that's a separate notice period, but a private individual or corporation. What you have to do is send registered mail or delivery and give enough particulars about the incident so that they can take measures to respond to it. If it's a municipality, so you've got ice and snow on a sidewalk or a roadway, you've got 10 days to put them on notice so that they can do their investigation. There's a 2-year limitation period to sue in Ontario, but those notice periods are very strict. Now, judges may let you get aside that if, for example, there's really good reason. You're in the hospital, that would be a good reason not to. Head injury. Yeah. And they'll look to, is there prejudice? Meaning, in other words, is it more difficult for the defendant to respond to it because of delay? They're going to weigh those factors. You don't want to be in that situation. You want to give the notice, in a timely manner. And remember, ignorance of a law is no excuse.
Right, and you want to document things. So
Yes.
so maybe if you've fallen on something, whether maybe you slipped on a spill.
Yes.
Have somebody, if you can't, have somebody take a photo right away of the area that happened to show that, was there coffee that had spilt or water that had spilt on the floor, and that's why you fell.
It's a very good point. Often it's he said, she said, because the spill gets cleaned up. The snow melts, the ice melts, or they come later to clean it, and you lack some evidence. So, look, I know, you fall. Often, slip and falls, you have, fractures, knee, ankle, there's head injuries, elbow injuries, for example. It's often difficult for you yourself to get those pictures, to get witness statements, etc. But if you can get somebody else to come out there to take pictures, and particularly potholes, take those measurements, so how deep it was, because there's certain requirements on the city in terms of reasonable standards of care as to how quickly certain areas must be fixed, depending on what's wrong with the area.
Okay, so, because it could be like an uneven path in a sidewalk or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's not a standard of perfection, right? You need to establish the negligence, and the burden is always on the plaintiff. That is the person alleging they were injured and asking for money. The burden is on them to prove their case. So to gather that evidence, as you said, witness statements, pictures, obviously medical attention when needed, get the appropriate treatment when needed. And one thing we should talk about too is what's called contributory negligence. If you slip and fall on snow and ice and you're wearing running shoes, your damages are going to be considerably reduced. You need to wear the appropriate footwear for the condition that you're traveling on.
Or that you would expect to be traveling on.
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
Yes. Okay. And then anything else like, what about me as a homeowner? I've got to make sure that, like, say, the path to the door is clear.
You need to take, reasonable care, what a reasonable person would do to keep their property safe for people who are visiting or who are just coming on your property, which means cleaning the driveway in a timely manner, putting salt on the driveway in a timely manner as well. And
what about lighting?
Yeah, I think not so much, and depending on if there's some sort of unusual danger, if there's sort of a drop or something like that, rails on your stairs, there's certain, a certain amount of stairs that you're going to need rails even if it's outside. Indoor in your house, you invite people in, and if it's going into the basement, there's no lighting, and you ask them to go get something and they fall, well, that's where lighting is going to be quite significant for a private homeowner as well.
Okay, lots to think of and lots to be careful of today as things are going to get very icy. Thank you very much, Nainesh. We'll get all your contacts up on our website, chch.com.